Alright, YouTube, so we're actually back with another video, a couple days straight of just uploading videos. Kind of nice. And we haven't done a Fallout video in a while, but this was something that I felt like I needed to make a video about. So a couple days back, TK-Mantis, a relatively decent-sized Fallout channel, he's got like 50,000 subs or something, made a video about Fallout 76 being the last Fallout game. Yeah, in his opinion, or his thought, theory, whatever, he thinks that that's what Bethesda is going to end the entire Fallout franchise on. That's the game that they felt, hey, we did as good as we possibly could. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Now, I was not aware of this guy's video until Joey Caps Gaming did a video about it. So after watching him talk about it and then me going and watching the guy's video, that's where I was like, you know what? I gotta throw my hat in the ring here. Now, between the two of us, Joey Caps Gaming is definitely the nicer guy. I'm much more opinionated, and I don't really beat around the bush when it comes to certain stuff. I'll tell you right out the gate that this is one of the worst hot takes I've ever fucking heard. So in his video, he's kind of back and forth, to be honest, because obviously the title of the video is Fallout 76, the last Fallout game. He kind of talks about, no more Fallouts, but then also mentions multiple times about the possibility of the next Fallout game, possibly Fallout 5, coming out, hear me out on this, 2040. 20 goddamn years from now. I don't know how he came to this conclusion, but in his mind, if we were to see Fallout 5, it wouldn't be here until 2040. I would be, let's see right now, I'd be pushing close, because I'm in my 20s, I'd be pushing towards 50 fucking years old before Fallout 5 came out. In this guy's theory, thoughts, opinion. I mean, honestly, can anybody out there take this seriously? Like, memes aside, like, we joke all the time about the long wait between Bethesda games, but do you realistically, really believe, joking aside, that we're not going to see another Fallout game for 20 goddamn years? Like, come the fuck on, dude. Like, get out of here. Now, part of his argument or discussion is that Todd Howard is going to retire after Elder Scrolls 6, which is possible. He's going to be in his 50s or 60s or some shit by the time that game actually comes out. So he might retire. But the fact that Todd Howard retiring would have any effect on the franchise in terms of the game still coming out is laughable. For starters, Todd Howard does not own the Fallout franchise. Secondly, Bethesda Game Studios does not own the Fallout franchise. It's owned by ZeniMax. ZeniMax bought the Fallout franchise some years ago so that Bethesda Game Studios could make games on it. It's not up to BGS or Todd Howard whether or not the franchise continues. ZeniMax is Bethesda Game Studios' parent company. They own Bethesda. They're the bigwigs. They're the guys behind the scene. They're the guys that are in it for the money and the money alone. And to be honest, we could end the video there. We could wrap it up. ZeniMax wants more Fallout games. There's going to be more Fallout games. That's the end of the discussion. But putting Fallout 76 aside because I don't know or care about that game, even if it's made a shit ton of money for Bethesda and ZeniMax, it's definitely more tarnished their reputation than it's helped. Fallout 4, day one, sold about 12 million copies and made $750 million. In the first, let me get closer to the mic, the first 24 hours. If you don't think that ZeniMax or Bethesda, both, either or, are going to want to capitalize on the Fallout franchise by making another single-player Fallout at some point, you don't know anything about business or money, and you shouldn't be talking about the franchise. I mean, do you think that the entire series revolves around Todd Howard and Todd Howard alone? You don't think the other employees of Bethesda Game Studios, Bethesda Softworks, and all their other studios, which we're going to get into, aren't passionate about the Fallout franchise? You don't think they want to make more games? What? What is this based on? Todd Howard decides to retire in 2035. Rest in peace to the Fallout franchise. We don't have him around anymore to walk on stage at E3 and say his one of obligatory F word in his nice little jacket.
That glows in the fucking dark.
How could the franchise possibly continue now? And yeah, when it comes to development time, there's a lot of wait between Bethesda Game Studios games. And I'm not saying we're going to get a Fallout 5 anytime soon. We still have Starfield and then Elder Scrolls 6, presumably. Unless they could be lying to us. They could be working on Fallout 5 this entire time. You never know. They kind of reveal a game and release it the same year. All that bullshit aside, whenever Fallout 4 came out, and Fallout 4 took 7 years to develop, they didn't have all the studios they have now. Pretty much right after the release of Fallout 4, BGS started opening up more studios. These days they have 4 different ones: the Austin studio, Dallas, Maryland, and Montreal. So Bethesda Game Studios these days, the studio that handles the Starfield franchise, assuming it's a franchise, the Elder Scrolls franchise, and of course the Fallout franchise, has 4 different studios, each with their own team of people to work on games. Not to mention, under the Bethesda umbrella, we also have ZeniMax Online, id Software, Arcane, Machine Games, and Tango Gameworks, which have all, I believe, helped in their own ways with some other games like 76 and Starfield. The point of all this is that Bethesda has a shit ton of studios these days that can help them make any game they want to make. If they wanted to put out a new Fallout game in a relatively timely manner, they could. Hell, Fallout 76, which is a game that people are still playing to this day, which I don't understand, came out in 3 years. You know, Fallout 4 came out in 2015, Fallout 76 came out in 2018. Now, obviously, the quality of the game suffered because of that. Pretty much anybody that's a fan of Bethesda games or the Fallout franchise knew that the game was going to be shit based on the time frame in which it came out. Speaking of release dates and windows, in TK-Mantis' video, he does some kind of weird jumping around with his math because he points out that, you know, Fallout 4 took 7 years to make, right? And talks about how possibly Starfield will come out in 2021, which would mean that Elder Scrolls 6 would come out sometime 7 years after that, so 2028 or maybe even later. The thing is, though, that's not how the math works, because while it did take 7 years for Fallout 4 to come out, it only came out 4 years after Skyrim, 2011, 2015. Hell, if we want to look at the numbers really quickly, Oblivion came out in 2006, Fallout 3 came out in 2008, Skyrim came out in 2011, Fallout 4 came out in 2015, and Fallout 76 came out in 2018. There's only a handful of years between the releases for Bethesda. I don't know where he's doing this math. I don't know where he's jumping around. I don't know what he's doing. The point of this video wasn't to hate on TK-Mantis. I don't even personally know the guy. I don't even know if I've ever watched his content. There's 400 million channels on fucking YouTube or some shit. But he seems super uninformed. I haven't been a part of the Bethesda community for a good year or so now. And I can hop back into it really quickly with one video, and I'm I know more about what I'm talking about than this guy does. And he makes content all the time on the franchise. Why the goddamn shit do I not have 60,000 subs? What the hell's going on here? The math isn't adding up over here for sure. Part of his argument is the success of Fallout 76, which is, obviously debatable. Why would they make another single-player Fallout? They have a multiplayer Fallout, it can make a bunch of microtransaction money. Why would they make another single-player game? But you also have Elder Scrolls Online, which is very, very successful, yet we know that Elder Scrolls 6 is coming, so this argument makes no goddamn sense. I don't know if there's a single point of his video outside of Todd Howard retiring, which is just, something that's an inevitability, that makes any sense. To be honest, it just seems like a video that's really thrown together. It seems super unresearched. But according to TK-Mantis, I'm not going to have another Fallout game until I have fucking grandkids. I don't even have a kid yet. I'm without child currently. But by the time this game comes out, I'm assuming my kids will have kids. Let's hope the guy's wrong.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine or leave it like Cobain.